This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and welcome everybody to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Today I'm speaking with Byron Williams Jr. How you doing, brother?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing real great, man. I saw your performance. Let me back up a little bit. I saw that you had posted some days ago. You posted something about you're going to be getting back where you were supposed to be, and you made a reference to getting back on stage. And that kind of piqued my curiosity. You know, I like seeing any American in Norway doing good things, and being something of an artist myself, it piques my interest when someone says about getting on the stage.
Right.
But I never connected. I had no idea that you used to be a vocalist in the Drifters. I never knew that.
That's true.
What you doing keeping secrets like that, man?
I was with them for about 3 years, and when I was a kid, my mom always called me a dreamer, and I always had this dream that one day I'd be on a stage, and singing for people, and then when I finally got the chance, I reminded my mother how she had always called me a dreamer.
Yeah.
And I said, dreams do come true. Now. And
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and like I said, the dream came true. Where I was one of 4 members of the group singing on stage, and it became surreal.
I can imagine. I can imagine being out on the road, getting all of that attention, and I'm going to ask you about that as we go along. But let me start with, what years were you in the Drifters?
I started with them at the beginning of 92.
92, okay.
And I left in, I think, 95.
Now, from what I understand, the Drifters have been going, since the 50s, pretty much nonstop. I know there were some legal issues at one point where things quieted down, but for the most part, the Drifters have been going all along. But if my memory serves me right, I'm about 10 years younger than you, but if my memory serves me right, it was around the late 80s, early 90s to middle 90s that style, that Motown quartet style of music kind of made a comeback in the States. Am I right?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. I think I was more like with New Edition.
Yes.
Boys to Men.
Yeah.
It was a welcome return because, it's just what we were used to.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting that we're talking a generation gap here of 40 years almost at that time, 40 years, where it took that younger generation to do something with it, which then got people interested in the originals, the Temptations, the Drifters, the OJs, things like that.
Yeah, or in boy bands, period.
Bands, period, yeah.
You know what I mean? It started NSYNC. It started all of these groups, Backstreet Boys, you know what I mean? It was,
Now, you got discovered from doing talent shows in Miami, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I was, as I mentioned, I was working construction. And as I was on the construction site on the radio, they mentioned that there was a talent show that was going to be held, and the winner would get a record deal. Okay. And so I'm thinking, okay, what have I got to lose? So
you had that dream, right? You had that dream.
You know what I'm saying? The dream always, and so that was back in the day with cassettes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I had to scramble to go find a place where I could make a cassette, and the song I chose was by the Carpenters, "Close to You."
Close to You. Okay.
But I did it in a soul version,
my
version. You know, and I sent it in, and maybe a week, 2 weeks later, they sent a reply saying, "We'd like to have you on the show." So I said, okay. So that went down for the practice. You only got to have one practice with the band.
Oh, wow. Was
So-
this for a TV show, or was it just a standalone talent show?
Standalone talent show.
Okay.
This is in in the black area in Miami, up in Miami Gardens.
Okay.
And so when I got there, I realized that they'd already picked the person that was going to win. So
As they often do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So they just wanted a little fluff around it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And back then, my girlfriend, my daughter's mom, oldest daughter's mom, I said to her, well, I don't see me winning this, but I'm going to sing the hell out of the song for you. And I sang Superstar by Luther Vandross.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And I remember when I was done singing, I'm walking off the stage, and the DJ, he was a famous DJ in Miami. His name's Chico de Virgo. So
I've heard that name. He must be famous, because I think I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's syndicated with Hot 105.
That's right. Syndicated. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I used to hear him up in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is Chico de Virgo.
Yep.
So as I'm walking off the stage, and I hear him say, "Byron Williams." All right.
Uh-huh.
So I walk off, and as I'm walking down the stairs in this club, it's predominantly black, and there was this one white woman in the club, and I'm saying to myself while I'm singing, "That's weird." You know what I mean? And all this night.
Yeah.
There's one light.
There's one light.
And I'm walking down the stairs, she approaches me and she says, "Hi, I forget her name. I was wondering if you would like to be with the Drifters."
Just like that. No preamble. She just asked you straightforward.
Right. She just came. She said, "Look, I heard your voice." She said, "And I feel that you would be perfect for the Drifters." And I'm thinking, "Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, right." I'm like, "Sure." I'm very polite. I'm like, "No, thank you."
Yeah, because who would believe something like that? Who would ever think that?
I don't know if I could tell you what I was really thinking.
Hey, go ahead.
I was thinking, it was a little jungle fever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. hey, people have game, and then people have game. So
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I walked away from her, and she followed me, and she was persistent. She said, "Look, I'm serious. I would really love for you to audition for the Drifters." And once again, I'm like, "No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, but thank you." She says, "Look, here's my business card. We're leaving town in 2 weeks,
Wow,
and
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. And if you would like to audition, come see us. We're in Fort Lauderdale at this hotel." So I went back to my construction work 1 week, and I'm working, and I said to myself, "Byron, what do I have to lose here?" You know what I mean? So
the dream, remember, you have that dream, right?
Right. You know what I mean? I said to myself, "This is what I've been asking for." You know what I mean? And this is the one thing that's presented itself. So,
although the presentation must have been a shock. Like I said, who would think that this would be a serious thing to consider? Yeah.
The Drifters. Hello.
Right.
These were guys. My father's a singer, also was a singer. You know what I mean? He had his band, his group in Miami.
Okay.
And I heard him singing a lot of songs. So I'm thinking, what are the chances of me, being with the Drifters? So I called her and said, "Hey, are you still interested in auditioning me?" And she said, "Yeah, we have 1 week before we leave." So I said, "I can be there tonight after work." And I went home, changed and stuff like that, and I drove to Fort Lauderdale. And I go to this hotel room, and there's this man sitting there who was actually the band director for the Drifters.
Okay, yeah.
And so I go in, and they ask me, "Do you know any Drifter songs?" And I said, "Well, I know "Save the Last Dance." My dad used to sing it, And they asked me, "Well, can you sing it?" So I sang it, and they said, "Do you know anything else?" I said, "Well, I know, Persuaders, I know The Temptations, I know, all of these songs." They said, "Sing one more." So I sang another one, and then they went over and started mumbling to each other. and then they came back to me and they said, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 33." And they said, "You're not 33." You know, I said, "Yeah, I am 33. I don't have to lie about my age."
Yeah, you know.
So then they're like, "Okay, we would like for you to join the Drifters, but we're going to be flying to Europe
within a couple of weeks, right?
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Within a week." He said, "Okay," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, Europe?" You know, I'm thinking local, like Miami. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're talking about taking me to another continent. You know, and so then I had to go back and tell my mom and stuff, because we had just started a company. My mom had just started a company, and it was taking off. You know, meaning it was starting to take off. We were getting some good clients and stuff.
Okay.
And so I had to tell her. You know what I mean? And I didn't know how I was going to tell her. You know.
I can imagine you were torn. You know, you have this opportunity, but you know, all sons love their mother, and not only is it the mother-son relationship, but it's also a business relationship.
Right.
How did you navigate that? How did you figure this out?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because I was talking to someone on her phone, and sometimes her answering machine would catch conversations. I don't know how it did it.
Okay, yeah.
It caught conversations, and she happened to catch my conversation telling my brother, you know, that I didn't know how I was going to tell Mom, you know.
Okay.
So then when I was about to tell her, she says, "You're wondering how you're going to tell me that you've been chosen to be with the Drifters."
Mama knows.
Yeah. I said, "How did you know that?" She says, she played the playback. You know what I mean? She said, "Yeah, this is it."
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." I said, I know we just started this business, and we're starting to get some really good clients, and we're about to, take off. I said, "But, I've always been a dreamer, you know what I mean? And this dream is about to happen, and, but I don't know, how you feel about this." And she's like, "Are you crazy? Of course, this is your dream."
Hats off to Ma. Hats off to Mom. Yeah.
She says, "I'll make it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Go out there and show them what you know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a week later, you're on your way with the Drifters to Europe.
3 weeks later, because I had to get my passport and all those things.
Okay. Yeah.
And next thing I know, what's kind of weird also, I grew up taking Spanish, but I never figured, I would have any use for it. I mean, because I also lived up in New England.
Okay.
I lived like half and half in Miami, half in Portland.
Okay.
And
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine. Yeah.
Okay. Big difference.
Yeah, huge. And,
that's a whole podcast episode right there.
That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother issue. That southern northern thing.
Yes.
So the next thing I know, I'm on a plane to Madrid. And I didn't understand why I took Spanish, because French, the Quebec is above Portland.
Right. Yes.
French Canadians come down.
Yeah.
So that was a logical language I should have taken. But for some reason I took Spanish. The next thing I find myself, I'm on a plane to Madrid, and I said, boy, God is good.
Yeah.
We don't know what plan he has. You know what I mean?
But things have
the way he shows us his blueprint.
Yes. Things have a tendency to fall into place if we just let go. If we just let go.
Yeah.
So here you are in Madrid. You're in Europe. You're touring with the Drifters. How? I'm sure it was a lot of fun. I'm sure it was a great experience, but I'm sure also that it had some challenges or maybe some surprises. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Challenges. Yeah, I had challenges because, we like to think that America and Europe have similar cultures, but they're different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're different in the way they are, and I had to learn a whole new culture.
Yeah, because I like to say people are people, but people are also different.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I had to learn. I had to learn the European culture, because when I came here, my opinion was Europe ain't shit.
Yeah.
But then my wife, she pointed out to me, she said, "Do you like Europe?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You don't want to stay in Europe?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You need to cut that out."
Yeah. if you want to have any friends, if you want to be liked,
that you need to knock off. You know, that was a typical American. You know, and we come in with the shit, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But then, that was different. And also, when I got with these guys, I mean, they were much older than me. You know what I mean? And here I am, a 33-year-old. I literally had to show them my license to prove that I was 33.
You know, and I remember seeing you on The Voice the other night, last night, and we're gonna talk about as well. But I saw the commentator made a comment about you don't look your age, and then Yosef came with my favorite phrase, "Black don't crack." So
for real.
So you look much younger than you are. So I can only imagine how young you looked when you were 33.
Yeah. They said to me, you know, "Do you have any proof?" I said, "Look, I'm not that old where I have to lie."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but I got some really good information because of Bobby Ruffin. He was one of the originals that left when the originals broke up and they started their own drifters groups.
Yes.
So he was the authentic drifter in our band. And he taught me some pretty professional lessons, you know, how to carry myself and, you know, what the audience expects from us. You know what I mean?
You know, and one question I was going to ask you is, who is the most influential celebrity or famous person, whether it's musician, singer, or whatever, who was the most prolific one that you've met? But already when you mentioned Bobby Ruffin's name, I mean, that's the top, that's the cream of the crop right there.
Yeah.
That's legendary status right there.
Yeah.
Wow, to be able to sit and be under his wing and get guidance from him. Wow.
You know what I mean? I'm standing on stage beside him, kind of like an out of body experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he said to me, "You deserve to be here." You know, he said, "If not, you would not have been picked here. So don't, you know, look at it like this here. You are as just an important part of this team as I am."
And that's a good thing to hear, because very often in the midst of our success, you know, we're reaping the benefits of all of our work, and we're very conscious of the hard work that we did, but we may not be conscious of the benefits of that hard work. So sometimes it takes a mentor to say something so simple as, "You deserve this." Sometimes that's what it takes, and then it's like, okay, you know, and it's not like it's a moment of arrogance or conceit, but it's just a moment of awareness where you kind of get that pat on the back, not from yourself, but from an outside source that tells you that you've been doing the right thing.
Right on.
And that's life changing. That can be life changing to get that kind of a pat on the back from that kind of a person.
It was for me because, you know, I mean, even at the age of 33, I could sing, but I was still trying to find out who I was.
Yes.
As a singer.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't come to me until I was 35.
Well, I know a lot of musicians, they are quite aware, they're fully aware of the talent they have, but they don't know how to put that talent to use, to where it benefits them, to where it takes them somewhere in their life.
Right.
I see a lot of musicians that have that problem right there.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, for me, you know, I was singing like my emulator, I call them my emulators, Luther Vandross, Peebo Bryson, James Ingram, Lou Rawls, you know, all of these crooners. Yes. You know, and I was trying to, you know, emulate them. But at the same time, I said, okay, Byron, who are you? Who are you? And like I said, it didn't hit me until I was 35 where I heard my voice. Yeah. You know, and that for me was huge. I said, okay, I might sing a song from them, but it's going to be my version. It's
going to be your version, yeah.
You know, and that's what I try to tell young singers. You know what I mean? It's one thing as you're growing, you know, and singing, find you. You know what I mean? Find you, because in the end, that's who your public's going to love. They're going to love you.
Do you think that Norwegian artists lack a certain, I don't know if it's genetic or cultural or what it is. It's probably cultural. if I want to tease them, I'll say it's genetic, but truth is probably cultural. That Norwegian artists have this thing where they hold themselves back. They kind of don't want to take those extra steps to stick out from the crowd and take things a step further. They're very easily satisfied with status quo. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I feel that. Also, there's some exceptions.
There are exceptions, absolutely. And this is not to take anything away from Norwegian artistry when it comes to music, because there's some very talented people here.
Right.
It's just that they don't implement that business sense. They don't turn that business sense on to turn their talent into something they can actually profit from in a monetary sense.
Exactly. It's a short diversion. When I first came to Norway, I couldn't speak the language, but there was this one artist, Bjørn Eidsvåg.
Ah, yes. I love him. I love that man.
I couldn't understand Norwegian, but I understood his heart.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And you understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And I'm walking into this pub, and he was sitting there, and I said to him, I apologize for not being able to understand the words that you said, but I understood your heart. And he said to me, he said, wow. He said, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I said, for real. This is for real. And I walked off,
I said yesterday on the telephone with you that I see that you and I have a lot of things in common. Now, when I met my wife, I met her back in the States, and we actually got married there and lived there for about 18 months before we came here. But I remember when I first met her, and we'd be out driving around or whatever, and she would pop in this Bjørn Eidsvåg CD, a live CD. And of course, I didn't understand Norwegian back then. I had no reason to. We were still living in the States. Yeah. And it was almost the exact same experience as what you just described. I didn't have a clue what he was saying, but his music moved me. There was something in it. Yeah. And then later on, after I came here to Norway, my brother-in-law, as a joke, he said, if you want to learn proper Norwegian, listen to this band. And he told me about the Hellbillies, who of course, the Hellbillies, who of course sing in Norwegian, but in a very exclusive dialect of Norwegian. So as a joke, he told me that, listen to this to learn and I really didn't have a clue what they were saying. But again, the music moved me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talent here in Norway, but again, I find in case after case that they are holding themselves back for whatever reason. They're not willing to take things a step further to get into a more professional position with their music.
Yeah, true. But if you think about it, they don't have to.
That's true. It's a different market here. Yeah, it's a different market here.
They have great lives.
Yes.
In the States, it's I call it the crabs in a bucket syndrome in the States. You know what I mean? Where everyone's trying to make it, someone's pulling you back. Here, it's not like that. Everybody has a fantastic life. They have a hit. It's like. But
then again, you've got the crabs in the bucket atmosphere in the States. But isn't it also because it's a much wider market? Here in Norway, if you sell 25,000, or if you have 25,000 downloads, I almost said if you sell 25,000 copies, forget about that. Nobody's selling CDs. But if you have 25,000,
that's the old days.
That's the old days. Yeah. Let me get into modern times here. But 25,000 downloads on a song, you're doing pretty good. Back in the States, 25,000 downloads, you're a failure.
That's nothing.
But having said that, isn't it also possible to be an average artist in the States, but if you get that local following, let's say you're a musician, or you have a band in, for example, Chicago, and you're doing well in Chicago, and you can get radio play that you can actually live off of, but you can't do that here in Norway. So it's kind of a give and take thing. Yeah, crabs in the bucket.
Right.
But some of those crabs that only get halfway out of the bucket in the States can still do okay financially.
I know so many singers in America, dude, that are awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? But they're not getting heard.
No.
You know what I mean? Because, and it's amazing. I was with one of the singers in the Drifters, Billy E. Thompson. Fantastic singer. Back in the 70s and stuff like that, he had his hits and stuff, but he never made it. But you hear his voice, dude, and you say, wait a minute, his voice is just as good as any of those that was out there.
Yeah.
But he just didn't get the break.
Is it really who you know? Is it really that's what it boils down
real.
to? Yeah.
For real. It's not what you know. It's who you know.
It's who you know. You have that connection in the radio business, maybe, or you have that hotshot manager that can open the doors. Yeah.
I agree.
Huh.
I mean, but for me, that was the reason. That was another reason why I went to The Voice.
Yeah. Tell me about this. Okay. So first of all, when did you come to Norway?
I came to Norway in 1998.
Wow, you're old school.
Yeah, I'm old school.
Okay. I came here in 2002, so I was right behind you. But
I went that far behind.
Yeah. So you come to Norway now. Before we get to The Voice, did you do anything with music or singing when you first came to Norway? Did you have that in mind that you were going to pursue that?
Yeah, I went when we came here. I think it was 6 months later. My wife had got a job in Lillestrøm, so we moved to Lillestrøm and got an apartment. And there was a band there called the Black and Blues Band that was pretty well known in Lillestrøm, Strømmen area, in that area, Romerike. And so I was became the lead singer for them.
Now, what kind of music was it?
Blues.
Blues, okay.
Yeah, it was blues.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta wait. Yeah. And so I started singing with them. It was a full band with horns and everything. It was nice. It was a nice band.
Yeah.
It was a really nice band. And I sang with them for 3 years.
Okay, so you were able to jump into it right away then.
Yeah. And
Now,
then I started my own band after that.
Okay, and what was that band called? What's that band called?
It was me and a keyboard player, drummer, and a saxophone player and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we started like that.
Do you have any music out there, any solo music out there that we can find on Spotify, YouTube, or anything like that?
Yeah, I did a couple songs with a group called Suez Lights.
I saw that. That was almost like a dance music type of thing with
electric music,
which was a great combination with your soulful R&B voice on top of that.
Exactly.
I listened to that song today. I do my research, I do my research.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep talking with you, right? We're gonna take this. We're gonna take this to my car because I gotta take my daughter to work.
Oh, but, okay. Doing the family thing.
We'll keep talking. Keep talking.
Doing the family thing here. Okay. So you come to Norway. A couple of bands that you got involved with. Now, from going from that to doing an audition for The Voice. Right. Is a pretty significant step. What led you to thinking about going on The Voice? How long did you hold on to the thought of it before you actually put it into action?
Yeah, I was gonna go join the Voice show. I tried for the Voice show in 2012, but due to health reasons in the family.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. So, the family had to rally around, to take care of each other.
Okay.
And so it wasn't the right moment.
Right. Okay. So, but you held on to the thought of doing it all those years from 2012 until now.
Yeah. Me and my wife, we always had this thought where we said, one day I'm going to get back out there.
And isn't that important to have that support from your spouse? I have my little Snoopy, and she backs me up in everything I do. And even if I can start losing hope or losing focus on something I really want to do, she always brings me back around, points my head in the right direction so I can keep on going. I'm sure you experienced something like that with your lady as well.
Yeah, I think it helped me because my wife met me in my environment of singing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We met each other down in Mallorca. And Gran Canaria is actually first, and then we moved over to Mallorca.
Okay.
So she always knew my,
right,
who I was and what I was.
So there were no surprises there as far as what your focus was, what you liked to do. She knew from the get-go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it was, and we had kind of an agreement where back out there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the voice came up. And I said to myself, because the voice didn't have an age limit,
Right. Because here, now when I think of The Voice, I think of pop culture, this maybe 25 years old and under, down into the teen years. And we're back after, I almost said technical difficulties, but it's not technical difficulties, just family duties is what we had to take a break for. But now we're back. Yeah. If we can get back to where we were talking about, it was 2012. You had all intentions of auditioning for The Voice. There was an illness in the family, so you postponed that.
Yeah.
And now we jump forward to now in 2021, and you auditioned for The Voice. Now, tell me about the run up to that. What was going through your mind? What kind of, how was your family responding?
Yeah. My daughter, she's an influencer.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so, like I said, my wife, the plan was always that, and when I came to Norway, I always had music. I mean, I did weddings and events and stuff like that alongside my full-time job. I always wanted to keep the music in me. And so, one day we were singing, and I said, there's no age limit for the voice.
Yeah.
So maybe I should try out for it. My wife was like, yeah, why not? So you send in your request, and they replied back, "Wow, we would love to have you, come and audition for The Voice."
Now, what did that entail? Sending in like your application or your request to be on. How do you what are they looking for when you send that in?
They want to see some video of you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sent in a little video clip of me and gave my background and stuff like that. And they replied, "Yeah, we would love for you to come in." And so I was like, "Okay, cool." And when I go in, there's these 6 people standing there, not standing there, and on a panel, 6 people panel, and it's kind of intimidating. You walk in and there's these 6 people that you don't know, and they're looking at you.
Yeah.
I mean, they were very nice. They welcomed me and everything, and made me feel at home and stuff, at ease. And so then they asked me, what song would you like to sing? I said, well, this song was originally made by Otis Redding, but the group, the Commitments, did it. And I knew that the Norwegians, they knew more of the Commitments than they knew Otis Redding.
Yeah.
So I took the song, and I did the song, and then I noticed that all of a sudden they had kind of sat to attention. You know what I mean? They heard something they like, and I heard the word "oi." Oi.
Yes. That you have a Norwegian's interest when they say "oi."
Yeah. So I said, "Oi is good." And they asked me, my background, do I do gospel? I said, yeah, I love gospel. Did I grow up in the church? Yes, I did. Do you like doing soul music? I said, yeah. And they said, yeah, we hear it. We hear it in your voice. That you, you're feeling every word you sing. I said, well, if I can't feel it, I can't sing it.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
I don't do that. I don't. No. It's not about me. I can't sing just no. And so they said then they sent me to another room, and then another room, and then another room, and another room, and still didn't know if And then they called me back again, and I had to go back and back and back.
Really? So they had you sing several times?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I always had the impression it was like one audition to get on, but no, you had a series of.
Yes, they're thorough. They're pretty thorough. You know, they have vocal coaches, and
Wow.
and you get to meet the musicians and stuff like that. Go through the music they're going to do, get the right key and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
so they're pretty thorough. It's a very, very, very professional group of people.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got the message, that I was going to be on for the blind audition.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you're still holding on to that dream that you had when you were a child. You have that dream when you're a child. You get into you're singing professionally, with a legendary group. And then you probably had a period, I'm guessing, you had a period from when you quit the group until you moved to Norway where you probably weren't singing professionally, or were you singing all the way up until you came here to Norway?
No, it was kind of crazy because I remember the day that I had really, where I felt that I wanted to leave the Drifters was, here was the reason why, because these guys were older and they had families. But every time we get together with their families, they were like strangers.
Really?
You know? Yeah, because they hadn't seen the kids and stuff.
Of course, being out on the road, yeah.
On the roads, and I'm watching this and I'm saying, and I go home and I say to my girlfriend at the time, I said, I don't want that. You know what I mean? I want, when I walk in, I want them to know me. You know what I mean? I want them to feel at ease with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then, and she was an air hostess. You know what I mean? She was an air hostess, and we said, there's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
And when I went to the group and I said, fellas, I think I'm done. And they were like, are you crazy? You know what I mean? Are you crazy? The life you have here, you're going to give this up? And I said to them, I feel that there's something better out there for me. You know what I mean? And I said, don't get me wrong, I appreciate this time here. I'm thankful, you know what I mean? But I just feel that there's something greater out there for me. Yeah. And I'm not going to get it being here. Interesting.
That takes a lot of self-examination and honesty with oneself to come to that conclusion when being faced with ending something that is so prestigious and lucrative as being a singer in the Drifters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
But you still chose the actual thing that is really going to make you happy, as opposed to the potential fortune and the definite fame and recognition. That's interesting. That says a lot about your character.
Exactly. I don't know.
No, I mean it makes me think of a good friend of mine. He's a country artist. His name is Øystein Remme. Good friend of mine. I wrote his first solo album. I wrote it for him.
Okay.
And in connection with that album, we were able to work with, I almost don't want to mention this producer's name, but I'm going to. Elliot Roberts. He is a quite famous producer. He produced a lot of Neil Young albums.
Oh, wow.
Produced Linda Ronstadt, people like that. So we got him here to Norway to produce that record. Wow. And without going into detail, Øystein was faced with a choice of following Elliot Mazer. Elliot Roberts is Neil Young's manager who passed away. Elliot Mazer is the producer. I'm sorry, I'm getting them mixed up. Elliot Mazer. So Elliot Mazer, Øystein had an opportunity where he could have traveled to Nashville and actually recorded there. As it turned out, we recorded the album here. But he was faced with a choice: follow Elliot Mazer's lead or turn his back on some friends. Right. And Øystein chose to stick with his friends.
Right.
So when I hear of people making decisions like that, they turn their back on fame and possible fortune to do the thing that is closest to their heart.
Exactly.
That's very similar to what you did in your situation then.
That's exactly the way I felt.
And that's admirable, because not a lot of people have the fortitude to do that. It's very admirable.
Yeah. And I look at it in the long term, and it was the right decision.
Yeah, because you're doing well. You know, you have your wonderful wife, your two beautiful daughters here.
Yeah. I have a son. I have a son also.
You have a son here too? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Christian Byron Williams, he's a rapper. He's awesome. You know, he's following his dad's footsteps.
So it's in the blood.
Yeah, it's in the blood, you know. So it's I don't regret it. And, you know, and I've met with the guys and talked with them. And they said to me, Byron, you know, you made the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You made the right decision. At the time, we couldn't see it. We didn't move on as quickly as you did.
I see. Yeah. Well, you know, and when you're in the life situation that you're in right now, as I said, with your wife and your children, you know, how could you have any regrets? Everything is fine the way it is.
Right.
So you go in and you go through this series of pre-auditions, and then when did you get word that you were going to make it for the television filming?
I think I came out maybe a week or 2 weeks afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you got word that you're going to be on the TV filming, how much time did you have after that to prepare for the actual filming?
I think it was about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. But because I already knew the song already, so just a question of the band getting it together, and then us going in and practicing, and then actually I think we practiced it and with the band 2 times, and then we shot it. You know.
I have to ask you, did you get the opportunity to speak to the judges off camera?
No.
You didn't? Okay. Because I was going to ask you about Espen Lind.
Okay.
Because when I first came to Norway, he is one of the first Norwegian musicians that I heard anything about. I'd actually heard about Espen Lind before I came to Norway. He had a couple of semi-major hits in the States in the middle 90s.
True.
And I'm asking you this about Espen, and I don't know, I don't want anybody to hang any dirty laundry or anything, but I got a little provoked by his comment after you sang.
Okay.
It was almost as if he was saying that you were not, and I'm thinking, okay, and here you are, a former member of the Drifters, and then when you sang, and I have to tell you, when you sang on TV, what a performance! Hats off to you, brother. It was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And then after that, Espen had to play the bad guy, and he said something to the effect that you're not polished, that you need to be careful not to just sing in one genre of music. And I'm like, what is this son of a whatever talking about?
I think a lot of people had that opinion. You know what I mean?
My jaw hit the floor because he's I don't know. So I was just wondering, was Espen Lind really a jerk? Because he came off as a jerk when he.
I mean, a lot of people that saw that, they were kind of saying to themselves, well, he used up 30 seconds of saying nothing.
Exactly.
You know,
and I'm like, come on, Espen, you're one of my minor heroes, if that is such a thing, one of my minor heroes, and this is the response you had to give. Oh, man.
But in the same note, I understand what he was trying to say was, you know, don't find yourself in just one genre. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But then I'm thinking to myself, this is the song that you've heard me sing. You haven't heard me sing anything else.
Well, exactly. But I guess I was disappointed because I think his response lacked a certain amount of professional observation.
Right.
I'm not like a musical genius, but I am a musician. I am a vocalist, and I can hear with my less than professional ear that you have a voice that would pass well with any kind of rock, even pop. You know, here you were on this electric dance song that I heard on Spotify today. Yeah. So I was just disappointed in Espen Lind's summation of your performance. I was very disappointed.
I don't know if you saw the expression on my face when he was talking.
Yes, I did.
You know, my expression was, you know, pretty much, well, you haven't given me any, you know what I mean? Anyways.
Yeah, I don't want to talk bad about Espen. No. I'm just the basis of what I'm saying is that I was surprised that he gave such a such a consequently negative feedback to your performance. I was shocked. On the other hand, we have Yosef, who just loved you to death, and so how's that going to be working with him going forward?
It's hard for me to say the name Mutamu, and I call him just Tom. Yeah. Because I have difficulty saying that guy's name, but that's why I call him Tom.
Yeah.
I mean, he was genuine. You know what I mean? He saw in me possibilities.
Yes.
Yusef sees in me possibilities.
Yeah.
And as I thought about it, I said to myself, who do I have the most in common with? It's Yosef.
Well, and I saw that right away. I was sitting there watching that episode with Snoopy, and we both looked at each other and said, he's going to go with Yosef. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My wife calls it, it's kind of funny, my wife calls it black privilege.
You know what? In this case, there is such a thing as black privilege. Yes.
You see what I'm saying? She says, Byron.
You tell your wife. Tell your wife I'm right there with her. I understand.
She says to me, Byron, here's an opportunity for some black privilege.
For my non-Norwegian listeners, the Norwegian version of The Voice has one of the judges is a black man. He's from Africa. Is he from Ethiopia?
I don't know.
I think Ethiopia. I'm not sure. A black man is one of the judges, and
rapper. He's a rapper.
Yeah, a rapper, and a good one, by the way, a very good one. And I think if he were to decide to pick up the mic again and try to make a breakthrough in the States, because they did with Madcon, they did come into the States. But if he were to go solo and go back to the States, I think he could be up there with any rapper walking around the streets of America. Absolutely.
He did that song with Kelly Rollins.
Yes, he did.
It was a big hit in the States for her.
Yeah. But if he wanted to go solo and really, really push himself in the States, he could be quite successful.
And need another singer. I'm available.
Well, there you go. See, you're thinking.
I'm just gonna put that out to the ether.
Is it time for a new dream?
What I mean?
But in all seriousness, let me post that as a serious question. Now, here you are. You've got your foot in the door. You've had your foot in the door in the entertainment business. You've been performing here. You have your own band, but now you have your foot in a bigger, heavier, more exclusive door, because The Voice is quite popular here in Norway.
Exactly.
People come into the final rounds of The Voice, and they come out of that with a lucrative career.
Exactly.
What kind of thoughts do you have now? Is it time for a new dream for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, me and my wife, we chose to have a family and stuff like that. But we always said, when the kids get older, you know what I mean, God willing, I can get back out there.
How old are your kids now?
My oldest is 27, and my youngest she'll be 18.
Well, there you go. Throw them out the door, and then get on the phone. Get on the phone and start making.
And it's weird. So we're talking. Okay, when you can associate. I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. He's in the show business. He says, Byron, I would love to use you. He said, I know you have a fantastic voice. He said, but nobody else knows.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a matter of exposure. If they get to hear you.
You see what I'm saying? He says, but if people say, oh, that's Byron from The Voice.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? So that becomes my title, no longer The Drifters. It becomes The Voice.
And that is a huge, all respect to the Drifters. I'm an old school guy. To be quite honest, I have very little use for today's music. I have very little use for it. But having said that, we have to recognize, we know that The Voice is one of the leading elements of pop culture here in Norway. Exactly. Again, people are making it to the final rounds, and they're coming out of that with a lucrative career.
Exactly.
Much less the people who actually win it, or maybe the runner-up.
And I've seen it's not necessarily the winners.
Exactly. People come into exactly. People just get into the final, the final 10 or whatever.
Yeah. Final.
And you've got a career. So here comes some new opportunities right around the corner for you.
From your mouth to God's ears. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I see. I don't mean to sound overly religious. You know what I mean?
To me, there's no such thing.
You know what I mean?
Let me tell you a side thing. My longest podcast episode was 4 hours, and it was with my good friend Espen Jørgensen, and we spoke about religion and spirituality for 4 hours for a podcast episode.
You know what I mean?
So you can't get too religious here or too spiritual.
No. And I just see how things are lining up for me. You see?
Yeah.
I see that they're lining up for me.
Amen. Amen.
And I mean, 7 years I'll be retired from the company I've been working for.
What kind of work do you do, by the way?
I work for IT.
Yeah.
Software integration.
Okay.
You know.
So you retire and it's playtime. You can. Yeah.
I can just play. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I try to just keep my health up. You know, exercise, try to eat right and stuff like that. Well, you look good. You don't look 60. You do not look 60. So I want to be like you when I grow up. Yeah.
I'm about 9 years behind you. So
yeah. So I want to get up. They asked me at The Voice, what are your ambitions? I said, I want to sing for the Norwegian people.
Yeah.
I want to go to that little hamlet. You know what I mean? Or this place.
Yeah.
Or that place.
Yeah.
And sing and
or Oslo Spectrum.
Of course, Oslo Spectrum. You know what I mean? That was my number one goal. But that involved me making my own music. You know what I mean? So then I have to put together something. You know what I mean? To create.
Are you a writer? Do you write music?
I write lyrics.
You write lyrics. Okay.
I'm a lyricist. I'm very good at the lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm not really musical.
Do you have somebody you can collaborate with on the musical side?
Yeah, I just started working with this friend of mine, and we just finished. Well, we're finishing up a Christmas song we just made.
Nice.
I waited. That is my favorite time of the year, Christmas, and I have a Christmas show, and I've always wanted to write my own instead of singing one from Peebo Bryson or Will Downing, and all those singers. And I finally teamed up with this guy. This guy is so awesome. We get each other, and the song is just found itself. We're going to finish it up, and hopefully that'll come out in October. It will come out in October. Because we're finishing up. But then we're going to start collaborating on some more original stuff. I have stuff that I've started, but I haven't finished. Yeah, and I'm thinking at some point I've got to finish them because people are going to ask for original.
Well, I don't think
I'm looking for collaborators also.
Yeah, well, hey, we'll be talking then.
Okay.
We'll be talking for sure. Yeah. Well, you definitely have the voice to do whatever you want. And like I said, I can hear in your voice that you can sing anything from old school R&B to modern R&B to soul to rock to pop. Yeah. I can even hear you singing over a jazz tune. So you have that voice that touches all genres, all aspects of musical entertainment. So I can see things happening for you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Now, what's the next step? Now, like I said, last night I saw your first round. Mm-hmm. And except for Espen Lind's comments, everything went well. Now what happens? When do you, when are we going to see the next round with you?
They let us know like maybe a week before.
Okay.
And I think it's the duel.
Yeah.
I think it's called the duel.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. It's nerve wracking. I've been on so many stages, but this one to me was the worst. Not the worst, but the worst as far as nerves concerned.
Now, why is that?
Because you have this feeling that, okay, normally I'm singing to an audience and I see the audience, you know what I mean? And, immediacy, you know what I mean? But with this, it's going out beyond, you know what I mean? To the homes, to the homes of the people, you know what I mean? So then this becomes, okay, and then I just settle down and said, Byron, you do what you do. Go do what you do, dude, and the rest will take care of itself,
I can remember here recently over the past year, I've been on Norwegian news, TV and radio.
I saw you.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time and the last time. Unusually enough, in between times I was on the TV, I wasn't nervous. But this last time and the very first time I was nervous because it was that thought of now everybody can hear me. But there could be potentially millions hearing me. But when I was able to close off that thought and just think, hey, I know how to talk. I know how to express myself. I know to engage in a conversation or debate. Just do that. And as soon as you can close off the audience, you're better off as far as your nerves go. But isn't there also something missing if you close off the audience? Because don't you want to perform directly to those people?
Exactly.
So that you got to find that middle ground, which can be difficult.
You have to find a balance, you know. I think it's due to my stage presence that I'm able to do that. You know what I mean? I'll find someone in the audience, you know. I don't look directly, but I look in the general direction of people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't get fixated on one or two people. I just look kind of I canvas while I'm singing. You know
okay.
I mean?
Yeah. I look at it a little different if I'm up there doing stand up or if I'm singing, if I'm performing music. I tend to find that locking eyes with individuals cures my stage fright.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, it is that actual connection. Hey, look at me, look at this. And then seeing them smile or making them smile if they're not.
Right.
That kind of distracts me from the fear that I really have of being on stage. So I don't know, it's different.
Every once in a while, glance down, you know, to take a barometer. You know what I mean?
but Norwegian audiences are weird. Do you remember the club in Oslo? It's called Smuge.
Oh yeah, when I first came to Norway, I used to go there all the time.
Now I had a dream to perform there. I heard about Smuge long before I had any thoughts of coming to Norway, because I heard people like, you know, my musical heroes, people like Prince and Eric Clapton, people like that. If they performed in Oslo or even in Stockholm, they would go to Smuge to do do a surprise show. Yeah. So I always wanted to perform there. So I got the opportunity to perform there with my band. This was back in 2004 or 5, something like that.
Nice.
So, and this was I
actually said that to myself. But one day I'm going to come and sing here. You know?
Yeah.
You know. Well,
at that time, that was my biggest goal, was to perform at Smuge. So then I got the opportunity to do it. And, you know, I'm all worked up. This is all original songs. It was an album's worth of original songs that I had written. I had a killer band with me. We were tight. So we get up there and we do the first song. Very light applause. And I wasn't really focusing on the crowd because I was so nervous. Yeah. And then we did this. It was a funky, get up and dance kind of song. And then it has this breakdown. So I stopped singing, and then the breakdown, the band is vamping, and I say, if y'all want to dance, it's cool. Come on, y'all. Yeah. And I look out there, and they're all just standing there staring at me with their arms crossed. And I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't working. Yeah. So we finished the show, and in the end, I ended up just performing for myself because I felt like the crowd wasn't getting me. Right. But then I get off stage and they mobbed me. It took me almost 3 hours to get out of the club because they loved it. Exactly. But they had this thing where they were like analyzing. They were like, they were.
I'm recording. Yeah.
That family in the background. God love them. Yeah. So it was a different kind of experience, and I've seen that from time to time here in Norway, where the crowd is very analytical, and it's to the point where I, as a performer, wonder if they're getting this. But then afterwards, they come with the feedback.
Hey, I remember the first time I went out and singing, and I'm singing my heart out. I'm giving 250%. You know what I mean? and they were just sitting there. And they were just looking at me, but with no expression, and I'm trying to get more and more. I've been like, what more can I do? I became
they're hitting you with the famous Norwegian blank stare.
Yeah, I became almost like I don't know what it was. I tried harder and harder.
Yeah.
And when I was done, and I was walking out, I'm thinking, they really don't like me.
Yeah.
And then when I walked off, and they came to me one by one and said, thank you very much. He said, we have not experienced this before. You know what I mean? And we just wanted to enjoy this.
Yeah.
I said, well, I thought you didn't like it. He goes, no, we love you.
Isn't that something? It's just they have a different way of I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about them, and I do tease Norwegians all the time, but I think they are a different crowd.
They're reserved. They're very reserved.
Yes, but they will come up afterwards.
Oh yeah.
With the feedback. Yeah. I've
They-
actually signed autographs. People have come up to me and asked for my autograph after stand-up shows, where I hear, I tend to go into myself when I'm doing my stand-up, so I don't always feel the feedback, but I really feel sometimes they're just not getting this. But then people will come up afterwards and ask for autograph.
Yeah.
It's like it's different here in Norway with an audience.
I had to ignore. I had to remind myself.
Yeah.
To Byron, that this is, if I had like a group of people from England, they're all, in the mood, screaming, yeah. But the Norwegians were, and I mean, I experienced that also in Spain. Whenever the Norwegians would come to the show, we would say to them, what countries are in the audience? And we say, okay, this is Scandinavian, right? So we knew that the Scandinavians, they weren't rowdy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they applauded, you know what I mean? But it was very gracefully applauded, and they liked it.
Yeah.
Then the English and the Italians and the French and the Germans would come in, and then they'd be crazy.
A little bit more boisterous, yeah.
Right. So.
Well, I got to tell you, Byron, I'm hooked on The Voice now. To be honest, I've never seen a single episode until I heard that you were going to be on there. And now I'm hooked. Now I got to follow you. Now I've got to see what you're going to do.
What is it? Now you got a pony in the race. Huh?
Now I got a pony in the race. Oh man. Well, I almost want to say I wish you luck, but to wish luck means that there's a certain amount of doubt in there. Just do your thing, man, and something is going to happen for you, whether or not you win The Voice. I think I can feel it. Let me be Prophet John for a minute and say that something is going to come of this to where you're going to have a whole new phase in your musical career.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Hey, you can tell your listeners to go to on Instagram, Byron Williams _Jr. To follow me. Where there's a lot of good stuff's going to come there.
Byron Williams _ Jr.
Jr.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be posting a lot of good stuff there.
Are you on Twitter as well? Are you on Twitter?
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm Twitter. I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. Okay, I'll make sure I put those links up. I'll also put a link up to your website, which is Byron Williams Jr. ByronWilliamsJr.com.
Right.
I'm gonna send people there. You've got a supporter here, and I'm counting on my listeners being supporters of you as well.
Bless you.
Bless you, and I want to thank you. Actually, I need to shake myself up a little bit because I've been. There's not a lot of black people here in Norway. There's not a lot of black Americans here in Norway. We are few and far between, and we're spread to all corners of Norway. But I've been aware of you being here, and I should have reached out to you long before this. So shame on me. But hey, now we've done it. Now we've reached out.
We know. Yeah. We know the route to each other.
Yeah, and Fredrikstad is not that far away. Well,
you're in Drummond, right?
I'm in Drummond. That's an hour. That's an hour drive.
I love Drummond, dude. I love the town.
I am not a city person. I'm born and raised out in the country in Ohio. And before we lived here in Drummond, we were living way up north. We have another home up north in Finnmark, coastal Finnmark on the island of Ceylon. So nice. That's what I'm used to. I don't like living in a city, but if I have to live in a city, I'm glad it's Drummond. It's a good place. Drummond is very nice. It's cozy here. It's yeah.
Every time we drive there, me and my wife, we say, "This is a nice town."
It is nice. Yeah, it is. I don't know too much about Fredrikstad, but it's decent. I've been there. There's nothing not to like. I'm just not a city person.
City.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's got about 83,000 people. You get the city feeling, but we live out in the suburbs.
Okay, so you have a little breathing space.
turn. Can I make this turn? I can't make this turn. No. And yeah, we're out in the suburbs.
You're out in the suburbs, yeah.
So it's like through the woods and stuff. So.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you get back to your family. Thank you for giving me this time. Whenever you have anything going on, if there's anything you want to promote, or if you just want to have a talk, you've got a place on my podcast. And I know my listeners are going to gain something from hearing about your story. And I ask my listeners to please, if you're here in Norway, watch the Norwegian version of The Voice, cheer you on, and give you that support.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Byron Williams Jr. Take care. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I truly appreciate your support. Go in on my website, johnallenpod.com, JOHNALANPOD.com. And from there, you can see all of the different platforms where you can listen to my podcast. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. Look me up there. Subscribe. Spread the word. Share it with your friends. And please subscribe. I appreciate your support. Bye, everybody.
Thank you and goodbye.